everybody. Welcome back, friends, to the Arizona Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, Holly Waxman, and my three special friends here. I'm a local realtor, and I'm excited to be able to be here today with my three special guests to share about some interesting trends that are happening in the market and some new laws that are happening so we can protect all of my friends from maintaining their wealth and not getting any possible consequences for not being aware of this new law that's been passed. So we're going to dive right into this, and we're going to start with, I want to introduce Dominick. He's one of my premier lenders. He's vice president of
Fairway Independent Mortgage.
Yes, thank you so much, Dominick, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Obviously, I want to start with probably the number one topic when anyone calls me is mortgage rates. The one question I always get is when are rates going to come down so I can buy? The good news is rates have come down pretty substantially since last year. October of last year, actually, they peaked at about 8% nationally on a 30-year fixed. Today, we're at 6.36. So that's a full 1 and almost 3/4 points. But also, I'd like to, remind people where, the history of mortgage rates and compared to where we are today. So obviously in the 70s, they were anywhere from 7 to 13%. The 80s, obviously with inflation, which I'm going to discuss a little bit more, how that really has driven to what we've seen in the last couple of years with that upward movement in mortgage rates. Inflation was rampant in the early 80s with oil prices. So rates jumped to 18%. End of the 80s at about just about 10%. And then the 90s, they started creeping down to about 6.9 to end the 90s. And then 2000s, we really started seeing the drop. They started about 8, ended the 2000s at about 5.5. And then 2010 to 2020, started getting down into that, high 5, low 5, and then even touching the 4s. Then we had, of course, 2020, which we had COVID. So I want to explain to everybody that, historically speaking, we're probably not going to see that 2 to 3% that we did see in 2020 with COVID. Part of that was the government did something called quantitative easing.
What is that?
Basically, what they did there is the government would basically buy up the treasury bonds, which would then lower the yields. And then with those lower yields, brought in lower interest rates. So that's the only time that they've done that to try to drive down those mortgage rates. So that's why we did get down to the 2 to 3s. And then, of course, once they stopped doing that, you started seeing the rates go to the 4 and 5s. And that's generally where we want to be, is we want to get to that, high 4s, low 5s would be an ideal mortgage rate market. But the last couple of years, inflation, just like in the 80s, roared its head. So that's what caused that spike to 8% a year ago. So now we're back down to 6.3. This last week, though, we actually did jump about a quarter. The national average was about 6.125 just a week ago. But then again, employment numbers, actually job gains came in substantially higher than they anticipated, which then, is inflation going to be an issue again? That, along with the uncertainty in the Middle East, oil market, obviously oil prices have come up, which also raises the bond prices. So mortgage rates are tending to creep up a little bit. But, we're in the low 6s. Some government loans are in the 5s. You can still get conventional rates in the 5s right now. So mortgage rates are, they're pretty low right now.
And mortgages are one of those fun things that you can watch daily, like a stock. Yes. I mean, it changes every day, right? We talk about, it's 6.5, 6.32, but yesterday I think it was 6.54, 6.45, whatever it was, and now it's 6.3. So it's one of those fun kind of things that we watch all the time. Why do you think? Why is that? How is that even? They set a rate. I mean, it's like gas. Sometimes gas changes 3 times a day.
Yeah. So it all ties to to make it easy for people to watch. If you have a smartphone, just go on to a lot of these smartphones now. You can have a little stock calculator or tracker, if you will. And then the one you really want to look at is the 10-year, if you have an iPhone, it's TNX. It's basically the 10-year treasury note. As this goes up, your mortgage rates are going to be typically a little over 2% higher than what the 10-year treasury note is. As the 10-year treasury note comes down, your mortgage rates are going to come down. So, and this is really tied to the bond market, which is tied to oil, inflation. Anytime the economy's hot, inflation scares, rears its head, that's going to drive up that 10-year, and it's daily, right? Wall Street's buying mortgage-backed securities. They're buying bonds every single day. As that goes up, rates go up. As that comes down, rates come down.
Yeah. So obviously we think that it's high right now, but you were talking about it was in 18%, in the 80s and I guess going into the 90s. What was it like in 93, 94? We had crazy inflation.
Yeah. So in the 90s, it bottomed at 691, but it started about 10% in the 90s. 10%.
Yeah. I know it was in double digits. It was insane. Yep. Things were obviously a little bit more affordable back then, but now we're looking at a position where, rates are what we consider high. They were 7-8%. They're down into the sixes. I think buyers are right on that cusp of it being just fantastic. Like, oh my gosh, if we could see a 5 in front of these mortgage rates, even a 5.9, 5.8, we're going to have such a flood of buyers coming into this market. That's the magic number. Is that 5%.
Well, they say for every 1% drop in mortgage rates brings in 5 million new potential buyers.
Yeah.
So think about that. If you can get in now when, again, rates are, historically speaking, low, 6.36. Mm-hmm. If you can get in now and say they drop to 5.36, theoretically, that should bring in about 5 million new buyers, which will then hopefully drive up values,
sure,
which will drive up the equity that you have. And if you do buy now at 6.3 and they do come down to 5.25, you can always refinance.
And that's the point we want to make here is if you are considering buying a home, a lot of buyers right now are kind of on the fence going, well, I want to wait for rates to drop. I want to wait for let's see what happens in Q1 of next year. They're talking about doing 1 or 2 more rate drops before the end of the year. The problem is when that happens, 5 million buyers are going to come into the market, which means what? Prices are going to go up. Right. There's going to be less houses available on the market. So if you do have a reason to buy right now, for sure, get out there immediately and start looking at homes because you can always refinance next year or a year down the road when those rates come down. But buy as much home as you can afford today before you have this influx of 5 million buyers or whatever that number is going to be into the market, raising prices, eliminating the good homes. The homes that are selling quickly, Holly, I think you can attest to this when we're out there selling homes. The ones that are disappearing off the market in 2 weeks or less are the turnkey, the good homes, right?
Absolutely,
the beautiful homes. People can't afford right now to tap out every penny they can buying a home and then have to walk into a $20,000 or $30,000 project. So if you're a seller, get those things fixed up, get a coat of paint on your home, fix the things that need to be fixed, and get it on the market with a good agent. If you're a buyer, buy immediately because in next year, when those rates do come down, you can always refinance as a buyer, but you're going to have less option and you're going to have less affordability.
And in my opinion, I think people should start building wealth for themselves and stop building, equity and start getting more equity for themselves.
Yeah.
Because owning a home, you gain more equity.
Right. So they say the number one way for wealth accumulation in the United States over the last 100 years is through real estate. But if you are one of those people that says, I want to buy when rates are lower, you're not the only one. There are, millions of people with that same mindset. So if you're convinced rates are going to drop, and I'm never going to be that lender that says, oh, buy now and rates will drop and I'll refinance you. Rates may not drop, so I'll never be that guy to promise you. But if in your mind you are convinced they will come down, and the Fed has stated that they are going to try to drop rates another 0.5% next year, maybe 2 other rate drops as well. But yes, buy now, get in before the flood in the market. And then, yes, of course, we'll actually refinance you with no lender fees and no appraisal fee.
Oh, that's right. You guys have that program. Explain that real quick. How does that work?
So basically, if you buy a primary residence through us, it doesn't qualify for investment or secondary residences because rates are typically a little bit higher on those. But if you buy a primary residence through us and you want to refinance between now and the end of next year, we will waive all of our lender fees as well as either cover the appraisal fee or you may get an appraisal waiver, but we'll cover that fee as well.
That's fantastic. It's a no cost refinance.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. That's, in my opinion, one of the best things out there.
Yeah. And I do want to add, if you are, a lot of people right now, the other topic is when do I refinance? Mm-hmm. I tell people in a declining rate market, which we are, rates are coming down. You can, a lot of people are like, I want to wait till they come down lower. Take advantage of a refinance right now if you can that has low to no fees. If you can do a no cost refinance right now and drop your rate 0.5%, no cost. Again, there's no cost to do this. Lower your rate 0.5% may save you $50, $100, $150 a month, whatever that is. If there's no cost, do it. But if the bank tries to charge you $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, then you need to do a little bit of math there. You need to say, okay, well, if they're going to charge me $8,000 and I save $100 a month, that's going to say, it's going to take me 80 payments to break even. Probably not a good idea. So I recommend low to no cost refinances now. So if rates drop again in a year, you can refinance again and you don't sort of shoot yourself in the foot.
How would
That's
that work
great.
with a homeowner who wants to maybe refinance with you? Let's say they didn't know who, your company was at the beginning. They have a mortgage out with Chase and now they want to come and do a refinance with you.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing is with technology these days, we can do a soft credit pull, which means we don't hit you with an inquiry. It's similar to what the telephone companies do, your insurance companies. We'll see your credit score. We'll see your mortgage balance. We'll prepare a free estimate. But for example, I had a lady at 7.75 yesterday. We're going to get her 5.75 on an FHA at zero cost. We're covering everything. We're covering her fees. We're covering the difference in her mortgage insurance, and she's going to save $400 a month. That's a no-brainer, right? Now, that's not going to be everybody. Of course, I'm going to give you a fantastic example. But then, we may have another client. We'll just prepare those numbers for them. But we're never going to charge points on a refi. And we're going to try to get those fees as low as possible. My goal is to try to have you break even at about 6 payments. So whatever your monthly savings is, take that times 6. And if your closing costs are more than that, I honestly wouldn't recommend it because I do think rates will be lower in a year. That's my opinion. Everyone has their own. And then you can refinance again at no cost.
Yeah, it's great advice.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So yes, definitely contact Dominick, and he's a man of his word and he's great to work with. I also want to dive right into it. Thanks, Dominick.
You're very welcome.
Dive right into introducing its really special guest, Mia Chavez. And it's interesting how I met Mia. One of my attorneys had contacted me, her office, and I was talking to her as I was driving to the gym. And she says, I need to meet Mia because there's a new law that's happening, which she'll just tell us about in a few minutes, that if we don't take care of it, it'll cost us big time fines.
And jail time, apparently.
Absolutely.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out.
Yeah. So Adam's like, how do we find out about it? Well, you got to listen to my podcast. So as I was going to the gym, I was, after I finished running in to meet my trainer, I took off my jean skirt, put on my workout pants, because we always need to find time for ourselves. And then as I came back in the car, I was lucky enough to reach Mia, and here she is today. So Mia, let's just dive right into this. If you can tell us a little bit about this new government law that's been passed that's going to affect 36.2 million people in the U.S. And what is the beneficiary ownership information report?
Yeah, and it's so in summary, the beneficial ownership report, and it's is a report designed for the federal government to show them who is the true owner of a corporation. And it was so it establishes ownership by either control, you own 25% of the company, and it's or you have a significant influence in the company. And it's the whole entire goal of this new requirement is to prevent money laundering and and tax evasion. So that's the overall goal, and is terrorism financing, and is to prevent all of those obstacles.
Interesting. And why is the report important?
First of all, it's important because it's a federal requirement, and it's it's absolutely going to be enforced on a federal level. And it's if you fail to file, and it's you will get penalized. It's $500 a day, up to $10,000 a day, or $10,000 per occurrence. And it's that you didn't do, and it's and up to 2 years in prison. Wow.
And so what it is, at least what my attorney was saying this to me, is I have properties or even my home, and I have it in an LLC. So if I don't file this form and I own properties or I own LLCs, then I could have the penalty and have the fees or possibly go to jail.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It applies to almost every single corporation out there. If you filed something with the Arizona Commission Corporation, and it's it probably applies to you. There are a couple of exemptions, and it's but most people will not qualify for those exemptions.
Yeah. And then the penalties we talked about, and then who gets access to the BOI report?
And it's so as of now, and it's the only people that will get access to this is the federal and state, and it's government. It's so the IRS, and it's the U.S. Treasury Department, and it's local agencies such as police department, and it's banking institutions will also have access to this report. It is not accessible to the general public, and it's so your information's not going to be out there for Dominick to search you up if he wants to.
And this became effective January 1st, 2024.
That is correct. And it's like it became effective January 1st, 2024. And it's like existing companies have until January 1st, 2025 to file this report. If you formed an LLC during 2024, you have 90 days from formation date to get this report filed. If you create a company in 2025 and it's like you only have 30 days to file this report, it is a one-time report. And it's like unless there is a change in ownership or business structure, and it's like you do have to file an amendment to the report. And it's like, and that is due within 30 days of that change.
Great information. Well, everyone reach out to us on the podcast to get Mia's information. So
it should be posted in there. So let's break this down for a second. I want to talk.
I got a million questions.
Let's go through a conversation.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So you go to the Arizona Corporation, you go to the recorder's office, whatever, Secretary of State. You start yourself an LLC because you want to clean cars, right? Kid goes out, goes, I want to be a car washing business. You start him up with an LLC, get a bank account, you get rolling. Now he's got to file this report. Is it an online report? Is it a mail-in thing? Is it like you go to IRS?
There is an online website, and it's like that you have to go and file, and it's like this report, and it's like you can self-file, and it's like the report, and it's like, but it's always great to work with the business professional, and it's like because there are certain state requirements that might influence who is a technical beneficial owner or the significant control. I mean, your office manager can be considered a significant control person. And it's like, even though they don't have any equity in the company.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is this a yearly report or one-time?
It is a one-time report as long as there are no changes to the ownership structure or to the company itself. And it's like, so if you don't move addresses and it's like, if nothing changes it's a one and done.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's not like something you have to do every year or whatever. I think I have an LLC out there. I don't even remember what it is. You got the PLC, you got a couple LLC.
So that's my question. I know a lot of people have rental properties, like to put each property in an LLC.
Right.
Will they be, are there a minimum requirement? Because there must be more than obviously 36 million businesses. What's that threshold that you have to file this report?
As of now, Vincent had said, it's like every single LLC in the U.S. has to file this report. And it's like, so each one of your customers who have put their house in an LLC, and it's like they are legally required to file this report.
So any business is
required. And it's like there will be a couple of exemptions, and it's like nonprofits do not have to file this report. And it's like all the financial institutes do not have to file this report. If your company makes more than $5 million in annual revenue, and it's like, you don't have to file this report. If you're publicly traded, and it's like, you don't have to file this report. And it's like, but most general people are required to file this report. And it's like, there's also, the government didn't send us all a letter and say, hey, file this report or you're going to jail.
The first I'm hearing this,
Right. That's why we have to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And podcasts like this are great. And it's like, because it informs the general public and it's like of these changes.
Right. So myself or other of my colleagues who have rental properties or clients, and we've been instructed and told and have, just because it was beneficial to have each property in its own LLC, all of those properties have to file this report, or we're going to have $500 fees or possibly go to jail.
Yeah. I don't know
if your favorite mom and pop Italian deli is closed for 2 years, closed due to jail, you know why?
Right.
Over there just slicing sandwiches,
Thank you so much for sharing this
thank
information.
you for having me.
And so we'll have a link to your company, right? What's your company's
absolutely.
name?
Tangerine Business Services.
Okay, great.
We'll
And then you can file that for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, contact you. Last but not least, I want to dive into my favorite listing partner, Adam Dahlberg, here with me, and who works with me at 72 Sold and Cydia. That this week we've had some exciting.
You've done some fun stuff in the last couple of weeks, huh?
Oh yeah. We had one listing. Adam and I were lucky enough to meet these great people. It's in South Scottsdale. It was at 6332 East Collie de Paseo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful home right there on the cusp of Old Town, right as you're kind of entering into that like Old Town Arcadia corridor there. Cool little neighborhood. I didn't even know it was back there. It's
amazing. A
mix of brand new homes because they tore it out. A lot of the homes were built like in the late 50s, early 60s, and then have been renovated. But then there was some new construction there. People would go in and buy $2 million homes in and level them, which is insane, right? So they have a beautiful 1958 home. It's been added on over the years, but what I really love about it is, in my opinion, and I'm not saying that this is just my opinion, all the new homes being constructed within the last 5 to 10 years, especially in that Scottsdale, Arcadia, PV area, they look like hotel lobbies. They're just massive. They're big. They're open. They're black and white. Very clean lines. Love that look. This home was built in 1958, but it still has that
classic
big. It's big because it's got a big lot. It's got a great backyard, but it's got character from like the 1950s and 1960s, and it's kind of, the rooms are a little bit smaller, but they're just elegantly decorated. The finishes are great. We're talking about Wolf and Viking and all the, the good finishes, but it's just got charm. It's just got that cool, old time charm to it. And
very classic.
And feels just like
more intimate.
Very, exactly. The ceilings aren't 20 feet tall, but it looks like
but they have like architectural details even in the ceiling.
So it has character.
The woodwork and all. So anyway, so we had it open. We did a couple of just kind of VIP showings. Clients loved it.
We did not even have this house on the market one day.
It wasn't
and
one
it was
day.
listed at 2.9.
2.9, yeah. And I
2.950
think we ended up selling
million.
it at a couple of interest, 2.95
We haven't closed it yet, but we sold it way over ask price. And we did not even have it on the market one day.
It was just one of those dream homes that you fell in love with the minute you walked through the door.
And it was really lucky how Adam and I treat our clients and people that are interested in selling, because days on the market are not our friend. Because I've even just random people, you sit and you look at a house that's on the market 14 days, you think, what's wrong with that home?
Yeah. It's the biggest detriment to the price of a home is time, right? So the way that we work is a lot of our homes are off market to begin with, right? We, if you're in real estate, typically you're picking one side of the fence. Most independent realtors, if they'll have a buyer here, they have a seller here, they do what they can. But if you're really focused and you have a team and you have a program and you have a system, you're going to go one direction or the other. One's not better or worse than the other, but we want to work with sellers. We enjoy the marketing side of it. We're a marketing team. And so we want to work on the seller side of it. We love the agents that work with buyers. You love the agents that work with buyers, obviously. So we befriend those clients. We befriend our people that are on that side of the world, our lenders, all that, so that when we have homes like this that are special and maybe on the higher level stuff, these clients don't necessarily want 1,000 pictures of their home out in the internet in the public. They have artwork, they have children's things.
Yeah, we had no sign in front of the house. We had no lockbox.
It's about forming those relationships and coming to our partner friends and saying, hey, listen, we have this home. It's out in this neighborhood. There's very few sales in this community. Do we have somebody in your network that would be interested in seeing this off market before it goes public, before it hits the market, before all these other buyers that would be interested? A lot of them could be looky-loos because they like to walk through nice homes as a hobby. I see it all the time. And like when we do our open houses, we have neighbors that just want to come, snoop. But a lot of our homes are sold in that way where it's an exclusive type of a sale. It doesn't have to be a certain price point. The higher price points are more demanding of that, but we do it just as part of our program. It's a 21-day process where we can sell this thing before it ever hits the market. But it requires creating those relationships with agents that work on the other side of the fence that are exclusive buyers agents. And they're our best friends. We're not competitors. They're the people that actually help us. They're the ones that bring the money to the table, right?
Absolutely.
Without buyers, there's no money. So there's always that battle, sellers control the market. Well, buyers actually kind of do because they're the ones writing the check.
I look at the property and our sellers as just like friends and family as they come to work with us. So we're never going to not take care of them. So if they do have to go to the next place or the next transition, we will assist them. We'll be there. We'll also be their quarterback for that as well. Mm-hmm. And one thing with Adam and I, when we did this property, we made everybody feel really special. We had them in VIP showing. We had wine, cheese, and all sorts of. We made it a fun event.
It was like a party.
Yeah, and everybody that came really felt special. And then because we did not have a days on the market, we were able to get it higher than even what we listed for. Which Adam and I are proponents that we want to live by our words, and we tell our sellers that we're going to do this, and that's what we do. Mm-hmm. And this was another great success story that.
Well, the way we do that is we utilize a starting price. We look at it as like, okay, here's the price where this home is is going to begin, right? And we only want to get those interested buyers through. And then that way to them, they win if they bid up and they get that house. It's like a silent auction. Obviously it's a benefit to our sellers because their price can continue to rise based on demand. Look, something's worth what somebody's willing to pay, at the end of the day. And so our job is to flush out what that number is, whether it's a classic car, a piece of artwork, or a beautiful home. The market will dictate what that price is. And so if we can exemplify the best parts of that home through our photography, through our ad copy, and then getting people in there, there's usually never a perfect house. There's going to be something that somebody doesn't like, but we can show them, hey, here's the value and the benefit of getting into this home now. And then, of course, depending if they're getting a jumbo loan in this case, right? Rates down on jumbo loans a little bit lower than like conventional.
Yeah, right now they're a little bit similar because they sort of lag. So typically, if your conforming rates come down sooner because they're more tied to the bond market, which is daily. Yeah. Your jumbos are typically a week to 2 weeks behind those because those are just private portfolio packages with each bank. But right now they're pretty similar. But one thing I do want to add, because I do work with a lot of agents. And I hear a lot that, every seller, and I'm probably one of them, my home's worth more than you're going to tell me it's worth, right? So you have sellers that say, oh, no, I want to list it for this. I think it's worth that. And you just have a lot of inexperienced agents that will say, okay, I'll list it for that. And then if it doesn't sell for that, we're going to drop it. That's my understanding, probably the worst thing you can do, because if you don't sell it out the door, the longer it is on market, you're going to have price drops. People are going to start questioning what's wrong with the house. Do you want to elaborate? Is that accurate? No,
that's totally true. And that is kind of a gameplay for a lot of agents going into a listing appointment. All the time we go in to, speak with our clients and they're like, well, you're number 2, number 3, we're going to interview a few people. Oh, great. No problem. But what are they really going to do? Every agent's going to come in the door and say, oh, I can sell your house. Let's use realistic numbers. I can sell your house for $500,000, right? And that's probably a real price. You look at the numbers, you kind of estimate if it's in a tract neighborhood's going to cap out at a certain level. But then you have another agent that thinks, I can get you 510. And the next guy's going to say 525. The next guy's going to say 540. Why? Because all they're trying to do is get a little 3-inch by 3-inch space in your front yard for free, advertise their face, going to put a post in your front yard, advertise their real estate sign with their head on it. And then, of course, in 2 weeks when it doesn't sell, they're going to drop it. They're gambling basically with your money. You're the homes. It's not their money on the line. It's your money. They were just trying to get a job. And they're, of course, going to say whatever they have to say to beat out the next guy. They tell you what you want to hear, not really what you need to hear. In our case, what we do is we say, look, on the front end of this process, it's all about marketing. We are a marketing team. We're a marketing company. Our product is real estate, right? But our marketing is really what's going to drive the eyeballs to your home. And when that happens, then our ad copy is going to get people excited for the home. They're going to reach out to us, or we're going to follow them, online through technology and AI and all that stuff that we do in the background. And we get a hold of these folks and we say, look, we want to invite you to this exclusive pre-showing or this public offering of this home and get them through the door. And then once they're there on the front end, it's just about getting people excited for your home, getting them to come through that front door. Once they're in the home, then it's our job to sell the property. Look, it's about creating a story for the home. It's not just saying anybody can walk through and go, oh, it's got stainless steel appliances and tile and a pool in the backyard. Great. Those are all just, topical things. But understanding the home as a story of how they're going to raise their family there, how they're going to bring their kids to the park down the street, and the way the sun sets in the evening, and the neighbor 3 doors down that's a babysitter can watch, so the husband and wife can go out at night to the wine restaurant or the wine bar that just opened up around the corner. These are the things that emotionally tie somebody into that home, that gets them excited, that makes them want to envision their life in that property, and then obviously submit an offer, not a lowball offer, but a realistic offer that's important to them. And then, of course, because we look at it as this is a kind of a starting price, here's where we hope to land, but this is where we're going to start the bidding, then it allows them within their own heart to say, okay, this is how important this home is to me to get. And then really what we're doing is we're flushing out for our clients what top of market really looks like for this home. And once we can flush that out, we just present that to our clients and say, hey, look, this is what top of market looks like. If one of these matches a price that's important to you to get, or, you could see the value of this because it's cash, or they're putting a lot down, or, terms are important, right? Price is important, but terms are just as important. They want to close right away. Then we move forward. Then we go play real estate, right? The front end of it is just getting people excited, just getting, buyers through the door, selling them on the future possibilities for this home. And then we can play real estate later down the road and sign paperwork and all those things that come with it. My point is, when it comes to, and I have a point here, when it comes to creating an experience, we have to do that both for our clients on the selling side, but more importantly for the buyers, to show them why this is the best deal on the market, why they're walking into a great property, and for our sellers to showcase their home in a way where we're selling their home and getting people excited, not the neighbor down the street. And to hire us is creating that experience, not a realtor who's going to promise you $20 or $30 or $40,000 more so they can price cut every 2 weeks until that home gets down to the sale value. Because the biggest asset, the biggest, I guess, destruction to that price is going to be time. And as that time continues to build this way, the value of your property goes down. Perceptually, maybe not necessarily on an appraisal, but perceptually to a buyer, a home on the market for 3 months is less valuable than that same home that just came out the weekend before.
Right. And I know for this property, which was really exciting, is myself being a Zillow Premier agent as well, knowing how to work with buyers and then being there during the showings and telling the stories like Adam was saying and showing the beautiful features of the home really helped us get in multiple offers and bid the home up, which we say we're going to do, and we did do.
Yeah. So. And they love the home. They're so excited. They want to close right away. The biggest problem we have with this sale is that the sellers are like, holy crap, where are we going to go now? You know what I mean? Everything like that. Was like,
And even at the sale, like we said, oh, we could be coming soon for a while. And we had such a high interest in this home for our different colleagues reaching out to us that it did happen even quicker than they.
If you look at the stats on our team, because just the numbers guy, just even within our team, and this happened in 1 weekend, right? So we didn't have, I think, even go active, right? We were still
weren't even on a weekend. It was like a Thursday night.
Yeah, we were going to go active on Saturday. So that was an anomaly. Call that an outlier. But for our team, average time on market, I'm talking over hundreds of sales. It's 14 days. You know what the industry average time on market is?
30?
48 days.
Wow.
So that's overall. Those are the homes that sell on day one to the ones that are still sitting on the market, is on the MLS anyway, is 48 days. Our team, if we even have to put it on the market, is an average of 14 days. And quite honestly, because we do these, we call these our launch days or our launch parties, we build in about a 8-day kind of cycle. So even that first 8 days is kind of a wash because we're not even showing the home for that first 8 days. We're just building anticipation, building excitement, getting people, kind of signed up to come to our big event. It takes an extra couple of days to get the offers negotiated. But great job to you, Holly, on that. She's the one that arranged that party and, brought in catering and brought in drinks and probably got a couple of buyers a little bit loose, but hey, they still want the home the next day when they sobered up.
So what you're saying is experience matters.
Yes.
As opposed to just hiring, your aunt, uncle, whoever just got the real estate license. Yeah. It could cost you tens, possibly, tens of maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Even, yeah. I mean, it definitely does. And there is a loyalty factor, my cousin, my nephew, my neighbor, my best friend at work or whatever. But ultimately it comes down to experience, but it also comes down to positioning this as this is a team event. It's Holly and I's job to sell the house when we go out. We have people behind the scenes. We have a concierge. We have a transaction manager. We have a couple of marketing people. There's a whole team of people that have one job, and that's to get your house sold. And on the background, all the kind of admin stuff. Holly and I's job is to create that excitement, create that bond, go out and reach out to those agents, reach out to those buyers, and negotiate on your behalf. So
get the deal closed.
If you have one agent, great. You have loyalty to your nephew. Great. He also probably has a full-time job during the day, doing whatever he does, going to school or something. But this is a side gig for him because it costs $400 on a Groupon to go get your real estate license in Arizona. So if you have that one guy, right, he's got to wear all those hats. He's got to negotiate. He's got to market. He's got to go through all the administrative stuff. He's got to know the law, the legal side of it. We have an on-staff attorney as part of our group. He's just an in-house counsel that if we have any legal things that pop up, we go straight to him. So it's about making sure you're part of a team, not just a independent person out there doing this as a hobby.
Right. And a team that has doing production.
Yeah.
Especially with the new laws that happened that could bring lawsuits with the buyer's agents on August 17th.
Yeah.
It's even another reason to
blows me away how many people don't even know about that. Because now I feel she brought over something. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I think I'm pretty up to date on current events when it comes to that type of stuff.
There's always new ones.
Sounds like I need your guys' business card for my neighbor. Their house has been on the market for 6 months.
Of course. So you have our number.
It is, and it's insane because it's a great neighborhood. I absolutely love my neighborhood. I think that it's a great house. It has great bones. And I was like, but it's a little dated. And I was like, but like you guys are saying, they probably hired their nephew, and this house has been on the market for 6 months. And every time I walk by it, and I was like, what is wrong with that house?
Well, it was just recently, we had a house that was on the market 164 days. It was really awesome. It had a pool, blah, 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 really inside pool. It's really interesting. And we got it sold in a week.
So how do you handle situations like that? And like,
it's our marketing.
Like my neighbor, right? Their house has been on the market for 6 months. Let's say they smarten up and they fire their nephew and they go towards a professional like your guys' selves. And it's like, how do you guys recuperate from the damage that their nephew has done?
First of all, we're like the specialist doctors. So if you went to a general doctor and then you go to the specialist, we look at each property as its own individual, and we have to assess it individually. And then we bring the red carpet service out and do the best of the best, what needs to be done, and get it done.
Okay, so there's still hope for my neighbor.
Of course.
Now, in that situation, will you pull it off the market before you relist it?
Oh, yeah, we definitely pull it off the market. And in fact, we have some little things that we do even while we're listing it. Like I said, we have a kind of an 8-day cycle. Really, it's about a 21-day process. But we reassess our properties almost weekly. And so it would definitely come down. We'd have to look at, the big things that attract clients, attract buyers. Number one is obviously just the pictures. The big mistake that agents make is sometimes they plaster 30, 40, 50 pictures. I get it. You're paying a lot for a photographer to come out and take these photos. Pay $250 for a guy to snap 30 photos. Oh, yeah,
there must be 80 pictures.
Damn it, I'm putting all 30 pictures on there. All 4 angles of the front of the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes you click 16 times before you even actually get into the property, right? It's the side of the house, the front of the house, this front of the house, the roof, the shop.
The park, the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. You got the sunset, the sunrise, all these things. So you get into the house, but it's like, look, let's just feature the best parts of this home. I'd rather have a house that has 6 or 7 photos of it than the one that has 45, because it's just as easy for a buyer online to go next picture, I don't like that wallpaper. It's got carpet. Next house, boom. It's just one more button over. Mm-hmm. They're skipping that house to the next one. So we want to make sure we feature only the highlights of the home. I mean, think of a fancy watch company or a fancy car company. They're not sending pictures of like the inside of the watch and how the gears are turning and the underneath the band and how sweaty it gets. It's just here's the front of the watch or the new iPhone or whatever. So let's feature those highlights, and then of course we have to put out good ad copy, tell a story about the home, talk about the home in a way that's going to intrigue these buyers and get people excited for the home and drive interest and want to reach out more. You don't have to talk about it's got 4 bedrooms, bathrooms, it's got a den, it's got a pool, there's a tree in the front yard. I get it. I see the picture. It's clickable. All those little links, it tells me how many I searched for a 4-bedroom house. You don't have to fill your description with stuff that's already in the listing. So you want to tell a little bit of a story of the home and then give them a deadline. Hey, this home is going to be sold next weekend. Reach out to secure your spot in our private, one-on-one tour before it's gone. So, give somebody a reason to want to call you. And of course, once they call you, now we're selling the home on the phone. We're getting them, excited to come see it. We're getting them through the front door. And that's where the magic happens, is just get them in the front door. And I think that's what a lot of agents, the nephews, the cousins, the coworkers don't realize is they think,
put a sign in
it's so sterile. Let's just put a sign in the front yard, throw a lockbox on the front door, put it on the MLS, and I'll call you when somebody wants to see it. That's the standard process of selling a home, because real estate school doesn't teach you how to sell a home. It just teaches you how much is in an acre and how to fill out a contract. So you get licensed, and all of a sudden, now what? You're not a marketer. We are on the marketing side of things, and we're on the sales side of things. So we want to make sure that once we get somebody into that house, now we can sell them that house. Now we can show them the features. Now we can tell a story. And it's going to create the best experience possible for our clients. And by the way, it's going to get the buyers even more excited to buy that home, because they're buying something from emotion, not from stats.
Right. And we do not do hope marketing. Yeah. So, and every little detail that Adam's talking about takes a lot of skill behind it. We're in classes every day to learn specialty techniques, to even know what to look for to be able to present this great product. But all in all, I want to thank everybody for coming. And our closing thoughts for today, I hope all of our listeners learn something, feel more motivated about preserving their wealth and gaining more wealth, and stop building wealth for other people and start getting more into the real estate market. And with all that said, thank you all for coming. And until next time, bye for now.